Chosen one. You were never forgotten, Dot, while they moved in silence. While they signed papers behind closed doors, while they whispered your name with contempt, thinking the divine wasn't listening. Heaven was recording. They thought time would bury the theft. They thought your silence was submission. They thought that if they stalled long enough, you'd stop asking, stop remembering, stop existing. But time doesn't erase divine contracts. And silence isn't forgetfulness, it's accumulation. Every delay, every forged document, every lie told at family tables and boardroom floors has only increased the interest owed, not just financially, but spiritually, cosmically. They didn't just block a transfer, they blocked a purpose. They tried to dam a river that was meant to flow freely through your bloodline. And now, the pressure is breaking the walls. They believed they could keep what was never meant for them. They believed the system would protect them, that no one would see through the loopholes. But the universe isn't blind. The courtrooms of heaven are never closed. Now, they're feeling it. The unraveling has begun, not because you fought them, but because the divine decree has gone out. Every night they toss in bed. Every miscalculation, every strange bill, every business deal that won't go through is a sign that heaven's audit has begun. They thought God wasn't watching. Now they know better. They tried to delay the order, tried to reroute the inheritance through paperwork, intimidation, and manipulation. But divine law doesn't recognize forged signatures. What's written in the spirit overwrites what's manipulated on earth. They told themselves stories. You didn't earn it. You weren't qualified. You wouldn't know what to do with it. But the truth is, you terrified them. Not because you were unworthy, but because you were unstoppable. Every dollar delayed carried destiny. And now every piece of stolen wealth, every withheld opportunity, is becoming radioactive in their hands. It's burning holes in their finances. It's crumbling the stability they thought would last forever. You see, they didn't just steal your money. They tried to hijack your mission. They tried to silence a voice that was anointed to shake systems. But here's the twist. You don't have to take revenge. You don't have to lift a finger, because justice is already in motion. And when divine justice begins, it doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't knock. It doesn't negotiate. It enters like a flood. Everything they tried to build on your stolen foundation is now collapsing. The houses, cracking. The bank accounts, bleeding. The relationships they leaned on, fading fast. Because nothing stolen ever thrives. Not when it came from a chosen one. And you, beloved, you're not just a victim. You are a witness. You are a symbol of the divine reversal. You are a testimony of what happens when heaven keeps receipts. They defied the order to return what was yours. Now they're losing what was never theirs to keep. And here's what's wild. It's happening slowly and all at once. First, the deal falls through. Then the car breaks down. And the lawsuits pile up. Then their peace disappears. And still, they don't connect the dots. But you do. You felt this shift coming. In dreams. In gut instincts. In the way people who once mocked you now avoid your eyes. Because even they can feel it. The order has gone out. And what was rightfully yours is coming back with interest. Not just in money, but in clarity. In territory. In divine authority. You're not the same person they tried to suppress. You are becoming what they were never prepared for. The proof. The proof that you were never overlooked. Never forgotten. Never dismissed by the divine dot. And now that the order has been defied, the consequences are unfolding. Publicly. Irreversibly. So stand still. Let the storm do the work. Let the books be balanced in your favor. Because heaven didn't forget. And the cost of their defiance will be everything they tried to protect. Chosen one, they thought it was just a few assets. A name removed, a document buried, a silent betrayal no one would notice. But what they stole wasn't just material. It was movement. It was momentum. It was the divine energy behind your calling. They blocked more than a bank account. They tried to block a timeline written in heaven. And every day they refused to return what was never theirs. The interest multiplies. Because in the spirit realm, delay isn't neutral. Delay is debt. Delay is a breach of divine contract, and heaven collects. They didn't just touch what was yours. They touched what was sacred, what carried purpose, what had your spiritual fingerprint on it. They thought time would soften the blow, that if they waited long enough, the universe would forget. That silence would erase the offense. But no, the silence screamed, and the books never stopped balancing. Every no they gave you, every door they slammed, every moment they pretended not to see you, was recorded, was measured, and is now being repaid. Because the spiritual world doesn't just track what was stolen. It tracks the impact of the theft, how it shifted your path, how it delayed your purpose, how it forced you to survive when you were meant to build. They didn't just take money. They hijacked momentum. They tried to cancel what God ordained. And now that momentum is swinging back around with vengeance. You don't have to chase them. You don't have to prove anything. The universe already calculated the interest. The divine clock has already started ticking. And what's coming back to you isn't just restoration. It's overflow. It's what should have been multiplied. So let the spiral begin. Let the glitch in their systems grow. Let the weight of what they owe sink in. Because what they delayed can no longer be denied. And what they withheld will now return like a tidal wave. Chosen one. You saw the glitter, the houses, the titles, the influence they proudly paraded around like trophies. But what you didn't see until now was the foundation they built it all upon. A foundation made not of truth, but of theft, of stolen opportunity, of misused authority. They took what belonged to you and used it to build their version of success. The home they bought, paid for by blocking your inheritance. The company they started, funded by silencing your name. The life they live now, rooted in a lie. And here's the thing about stolen stones. They don't hold. They look strong from a distance. They appear stable under pressure. But deep underneath, they carry cracks. Hairline fractures that only divine justice can detect. Until now, because cracks don't stay hidden forever. The weight of guilt, the pressure of secrets, the burden of stolen blessings eventually begins to split the floorboards. And what seemed unshakable is now trembling. You are not the one bringing it down. Let that be clear. This collapse is not your revenge. It's divine law in motion. What they thought would remain buried is now rising through the concrete. The foundation is talking. And it's saying, you built your empire on someone else's name. They thought they erased you. That removing you from the documents, from the business, from the will, meant removing consequence. But what they failed to understand is this. You can't forge a future on a lie and expect the truth to stay silent forever. The cracks are appearing in their relationships, in their finances, in their health, in their peace of mind, because energy doesn't lie. And the energy they used to build their world was not theirs to begin with. It carried your frequency. It pulsed with your divine signature. And now it's rejecting them. That's why deals are falling apart. That's why money keeps vanishing. That's why no matter how many repairs they make, something else always breaks. Because when you build a legacy with bricks soaked in betrayal, the house will never stand. They told themselves stories that they deserved it, that you wouldn't have used it right, that by taking it, they were protecting the family. But deep down, Even they know they weren't safeguarding the future. They were securing their own control, their own ego, their own throne. And now the throne is tilting. The floor beneath them is cracking. And the empire they built is starting to sink. This is not misfortune. This is not bad timing. This is divine correction. The universe doesn't bless what was built on injustice. Heaven does not anoint what was stolen. And while they panic, you rise. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to prove anything. Your very existence is enough to unravel the illusion. They once thought you were powerless, but the truth is you were the stone they rejected. And now you are the cornerstone. So watch as the old structure collapses, brick by brick, deal by deal, mask by mask. It's not personal, it's providence. It's not karma, it's cosmic design. And you were never forgotten, only hidden, only preserved for such a time as this. The inheritance is returning, the energy is recalibrating, and the true builder you is about to lay a new foundation. One not built on lies, but on light, not on manipulation, but on mandate, chosen one. They thought your silence meant surrender. They thought your stillness meant weakness. They thought by ignoring the truth, it would evaporate. But silence is not absence. Silence is surveillance. Silence is sacred. And in that silence, you triggered something unstoppable. This isn't revenge. This isn't karma in the way they hoped to dismiss it. This is divine order, an ancient law written in realms beyond their control, now in motion. You didn't need to file a case. You didn't need to fight them in court, because the courtroom of heaven had already opened the file. A divine audit began the moment they touched what was never theirs. Every dollar withheld, every contract forged, every false justification made. In back rooms was recorded, not just on paper, but in spirit. They thought they were clever, but heaven has receipts. They thought they were safe, but the balance sheet doesn't lie. And now, without warning, without your effort, without a single word from your lips, the audit has begun. They'll feel it before they can name it. Confusion in finances, unexplained losses, doors that once opened easily, now shut. Then comes the unraveling. The ripple of imbalance reaches out, not just to them, but to everyone who touched what was meant for you, the assistants who helped move the money, the family who stayed silent, the advisors who justified the theft, the ones who just followed orders. All of them, now under review. This isn't human vengeance. This is spiritual precision, because what is divine cannot be diluted. And what was assigned to you will never bless another hand. Let them run the numbers. Let them call their lawyers. Let them shuffle their assets around like playing cards. None of it will stop the collection, because this isn't about money. It never was. This is about destiny, about inheritance, about alignment. And the universe always pays its debts. But not to the thief, to the rightful heir. That's you. And while they scramble, you stand. While they panic, you breathe. While they lose sleep, you gain clarity. The weight isn't on your shoulders anymore. It's in the hands of a justice system that can't be bribed, delayed, or deceived. This isn't payback. It's payout. And it's already in progress. Chosen one. They thought they could outsmart justice. They thought the silence was a loophole. They thought stolen wealth could be transformed into legacy. But what they failed to understand was that wealth gained through betrayal does not bless. It curses. And now that curse has begun to speak. They built houses on stolen stone, signed deals with what was not theirs, smiled wide while suppressing the truth. But nothing built on deceit will stand forever. What they hoarded has turned on them. Their bank accounts look full, but their peace is bankrupt. Their homes are furnished, but the atmosphere is heavy. Their calendars are booked, but they cannot sleep, because what they took wasn't just money. It was spiritual inheritance. It carried a name, your name. It carried a vibration, your destiny. And the universe never loses track of sacred property. They thought they were keeping you out, but they were shutting themselves in, trapping themselves in a prison of more that only leads to less, because nothing taken unlawfully can multiply. It decays. And now the decay has begun. Every time they tried to enjoy it, it backfired. Every time they made plans with it, the plans unraveled. Every time they tried to invest it, it disappeared, because the energy of what was stolen always seeks to return to its rightful owner, and the longer they hold on, the heavier it becomes. Not just in weight, but in consequence. The sickness that confuses doctors, the chronic stress, the collapsing business partnerships, the strange, sudden financial losses. It's not bad luck. It's spiritual law in action. They tried to call it a rough season, but seasons change. This is collapse. The foundation is buckling. The walls are cracking. What they built is no longer safe to stand on, because wealth doesn't just come with a dollar sign. It comes with a signature, and it was never signed in their name. It was marked for you. They thought they were winning. They thought holding. Your inheritance meant power, but what they actually inherited was instability, an invisible leak that no financial advisor can plug, a spiritual erosion, slow, steady, irreversible. And here's the divine irony: they could have returned. They had a window, a chance to repent, to release what was never meant for them, but they clung, tight-fisted, proud, unapologetic. And now, the very thing they refused to return is eroding their empire from the inside out. Because money taken through deception doesn't just vanish. It turns, it flips, it rebels against the hand that stole it. What once brought them pride now brings them panic. What once felt like abundance now feels like an anchor. They thought they secured the future, but what they really secured was a slow, certain collapse. And while they scramble, you rise, without forcing, without chasing. Because restoration is already moving. This isn't revenge. It's return. This isn't karma. It's correction. This is what divine justice looks like when it unfolds in plain sight. Not loud, not angry, but sure, precise, unstoppable. Their losses will not be explainable. Their setbacks will seem irrational, but you'll know, you'll see, that the books are being balanced and the interest is being added daily. You don't have to lift a finger, because the curse they activated is now working its way through every stolen dollar, every dishonest contract, every lie they told to justify what they took. They made themselves kings and queens of your inheritance. But the crown was counterfeit, and the throne was borrowed. Now it's time to return everything. And it won't come back empty. It will come back multiplied, because what was taken with deception will be returned through disruption. And no vault, no lawyer, no silence can stop the wealth from finding its rightful home. Chosen one, you were never forgotten. You were only being prepared to receive it in fullness when the time was divine. HOSEN1, you didn't beg for it. You didn't manipulate to get it. You didn't fight dirty. You waited. You surrendered. You healed. While they scrambled to keep what never belonged to them, you stood still in the storm. And now, the winds are shifting in your favor. This is the rise of the rightful heir. You didn't chase it. It recognized you. It remembered your name, because what was divinely written in your spiritual contract can never be overwritten by human schemes. You are counted out, dismissed, pushed to the edge. They thought if they blocked you long enough, you'd forget who you are. But heaven never forgot. And now the court of divine order has issued the summons. Doors that were locked with forged. Keys are swinging open without effort. Blessings that were dammed up are breaking loose like floodwaters. Not because you demanded it, but because it was yours from the beginning. This is not a rescue. This is a return. Not everything they tried to inherit in your name is coming back to the original holder, and the spiritual fingerprint matches you. You're not stepping into someone else's place. You're reclaiming a throne with your initials carved into the stone. You don't need validation. You are the validation. You don't need to prove your worth. Your very existence is the proof. And now they see it. The ones who once mocked you. The ones who said you had no claim. The ones who stole, twisted, and lied are watching the tables turn in real time, because you were never meant to live off crumbs at the foot of a stolen table. You were always meant to sit at the head of a table prepared for you, not because you forced your way in, but because the divine opened the door that no man could shut. And here's the truth. They could block your access, but they couldn't block your anointing. They could delay the timing, but they couldn't cancel the assignment. And now, the season of reversal is here. While they descend into confusion, you ascend in clarity. While their hands grow tired holding what's falling apart, your hands are being filled with what was always yours. This is your return, not because you chased it, but because it chased you. It followed your obedience. It followed your healing. It followed your silence. It followed your growth. The inheritance doesn't just know your name. It carries your DNA. And now that it has found you, nothing can stop the overflow. Not the lies. Not the time that's passed. Not the systems built against you. You are walking into what was written, into what was promised, into what was preserved for this very moment. Chosen one, you didn't rise to power. You returned to position, because you are the rightful heir, and what is yours is coming home. Chosen one, they tried to erase you, but now they're forced to witness your name etched in divine stone. They tried to delay your destiny, but now they're watching you rise. And there's nothing they can do to stop it. This is not just your restoration. This is the reveal. The same ones who closed doors in your face are now standing outside the gates they no longer control, watching them open for you. They once laughed at your loss. Now they tremble at your elevation. They once celebrated your silence. Now they fear what your presence says without a word. You're not just receiving back what was stolen. You're receiving it in public, in front of those who doubted, denied, dismissed you, because the court of heaven doesn't settle debts in secret. It makes examples. You are that example. Not for revenge, but for righteous reversal. Not to hurt them, but to show them that divine law cannot be mocked. And now they see it, not in dreams, not in whispers, but in headlines, in contracts, in blessings too big to ignore. You have become the evidence. You are the proof that favor doesn't need to fight for attention. It simply arrives undeniable, overflowing and witnessed. Every gift you receive now echoes with justice. Every door that opens for you carries the sound of their crumbling foundation. Every level you ascend makes their silence louder. They thought you were finished, but you were just hidden. They thought you were weak, but you were being refined. They thought blocking your path would preserve their power, but all they preserved was the moment they'd have to watch you rise. And rise you did. You built in silence. You healed in private. You prayed in secret. And now your public restoration is their private undoing. They called it their legacy, but it was built on stolen stone. And now that structure is falling. While you're walking into stability they never knew how to hold. This is the part they never saw coming, that the one they overlooked would become the one one they couldn't ignore. You are not rising in spite of them. You are rising in full view of them, Dot, because justice doesn't whisper. It declares. It announces. It makes known, Dot, and today, it's making you known to every eye that watched you suffer, to every voice that spoke against your calling, to every hand that tried to block your blessing. Now, they can't unsee it, they can't deny it, and they can't stop what's already in motion. Your name is in rooms their strategies can't reach. Your favor is flowing from streams they cannot contaminate. Your future is unfolding on timelines they never had access to. And the final irony? They have to watch. Not because you want them to, but because divine order requires it. They will watch you rise. They will watch you flourish. They will watch you inherit. And they will do it from the outside looking in, because that's the consequence of defying divine alignment. Chosen one, your table is being prepared, and they're not invited to eat. They're only allowed to witness. Chosen one, before they stole the paper, before they signed the false document, before they tried to silence your legacy, your name was already written, not in ink, but in light, not by man, but by heaven. You are never at the mercy of their schemes. You are under divine contract sealed, witnessed, and ratified in the courts of heaven. And now, that seal is breaking through dimensions. The invisible is becoming visible. The blocked is becoming blessed. The held back is being released in full. They thought they controlled your outcome. They thought they had the final word. But no human hand can override a heavenly decree. What's written for you carries weight. It carries law. It carries divine justice. They delayed it, but they could never deny it. They buried it, but they could never erase it. They tampered with your timeline, but heaven never lost track of the hour. And now the hour has come. The seal has been broken. The vault is open. The books are balanced. The court is in session. Every delay is now compounding into acceleration. Every stolen moment is now returning with restoration. Every no they gave you is being reversed by a divine yes they cannot touch. What was once locked is now unsealed. What was once whispered is now declared. What was once hidden is now revealed. This is not just your return. This is your validation. This is not just your breakthrough. This is your public confirmation. They tried to redact your name. Heaven highlighted it. They tried to reroute your path. The universe recalibrated it. They tried to take what was yours. Now, they're watching it multiply in your hands. And the most sacred part? You didn't have to fight for it. You just had to align. Because divine justice doesn't operate in revenge. It operates in restoration. It operates in order. It operates in unshakable truth. And the truth is this: what God sealed for you, no man can undo. What was divinely written cannot be unwritten. What carries your spiritual signature cannot be forged or stolen without consequence. This is why their grip is slipping. This is why their efforts backfire. This is why their wealth is turning to weight. Because they tried to hold what never belonged to them. And now, it's all returning, piece by piece, with interest, with witnesses, with undeniable force. You are not walking into a maybe. You are walking into a mandate. You are not arriving at a possibility. You are stepping into a promised portion. This is what it means to be sealed, protected, preserved, positioned. Let them talk. Let them spin the narrative. Let them scramble. It doesn't matter anymore, because what's sealed cannot be stopped. The judgment is final. The inheritance is active, and your time has officially begun.